Hi everyone, I'm Lino. Sorry that I have to cover my face and use AI voiceover. I live in an environment with heavy censorship, and even accessing YouTube is considered illegal, not to mention the fact that I sometimes criticize certain actions of the government. Here, if your views don't align with the mainstream narrative, you live in fear, so I have no choice but to protect myself. Next time, I'll talk in more detail about why I still take the risk to make these videos. For today, let's talk about something else. In the shadows of China's gleaming skyscrapers and neon-lit avenues, there is a silent graveyard. You'll find them in almost every old neighborhood. Cars with flat tires, windows obscured by layers of grime and fallen leaves, and engines that haven't roared in years. In China, we call them zombie cars. At first glance, it looks like a simple waste of money. But if you look closer, at the sun-bleached Lucky Charms hanging from the rearview mirror or the faded family stickers on the back, you'll realize these aren't just abandoned machines. They are the rusted remains of someone's dream. Today, I want to take you beyond the surface. We're going to talk about a phenomenon that captures the heartbreaking struggle of the Chinese working class. The reality of 2 tanks of gas a year. In many Western countries, a car is just a tool, a set of legs for daily life. But in China's hyper-competitive society, the meaning of a car is far more complex. There's a phrase that has gone viral on the Chinese internet lately: 2 tanks of gas a year. It describes a massive group of car owners who spent years of savings to buy a vehicle, only to discover they can't afford to actually drive it. Think about it. The first tank of gas is for the Lunar New Year, for that exhausting 15-hour drive back to their rural hometown, just to show relatives and neighbors that they've made it in the big city. It's not just a trip, it's a performance of dignity. The second tank of gas is for returning to the reality of city life and continuing to toil like a beast of burden. And after that, the car sits still. For the other 360 days of the year, that vehicle remains motionless. Why? Because the math of survival is brutal. Between skyrocketing fuel prices, predatory parking fees, and soul-crushing traffic, driving has become a luxury. In cities like Shanghai or Beijing, a single parking spot can cost as much as the car itself. So people buy the car to prove their status, then abandon it in a muddy corner of an alley because they can't afford to keep it anywhere else. You might ask, if it's such a burden, why not just sell it? In the West, that seems logical. But in China, the logic of survival operates differently. First, there's the price of face. In many places, owning a car is your entry ticket to adulthood, a prerequisite for marriage, respectability, and social standing. Without a car, parents might feel they've lost face in their hometown. The vehicle becomes a physical symbol of a middle-class life people are desperately clinging to, even if that life is, for now, an illusion. Some people barely drive, but still clip their car keys to their belts so others can see them. Sometimes the keys are more worn than the car itself. Second, there's the sunk cost fallacy, wrapped in insecurity. Many of these owners are young migrants who emptied every bonus and overtime payment into the down payment. Selling the car doesn't just mean losing money. It feels like admitting that the urban dream they chased is slipping away. Late at night, there's a quiet scene you'll often see in Chinese residential compounds. Men sitting in their parked cars for 30 minutes after work, staring into the dark, smoking in silence. For them, that car, even if it rarely moves, is the only private space they truly own. It's the only place where they aren't a son, a father, or an employee. It's a tiny metal sanctuary in a world that constantly demands everything from them. When I look at these zombie cars, I don't feel mockery. I feel a deep heaviness. There is an incredible, almost painful resilience in the Chinese people. They are masters of endurance. Many work the 996 schedule, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week, just to keep their heads above water. The person who owns that dusty car is likely the same person crushed into a crowded subway for 3 hours every day. They bought that car as a promise to themselves, a promise of freedom, of dignity, of a better future. But survival in modern China is a relentless machine. High rent, childcare costs, social competition, and the constant fear of being replaced at work. All of it consumes everything. And in recent years, this pressure has been amplified by something deeper: easy credit and the trap of consumerist optimism. For more than a decade, cheap loans and aggressive financing campaigns encouraged people to buy now and worry later. Zero-interest car loans, flexible payment plans, credit apps, and installment platforms painted a picture of effortless upward mobility. Financial institutions, automakers, and consumer platforms worked together to sell not just products, but dreams. The message was simple: if you can't afford it today, borrow from your future self. But that future self is now struggling. When wages stagnate while debt keeps growing, the car that once symbolized progress slowly turns into a financial shackle. Monthly loan payments continue, even if the car barely moves. Insurance fees, inspection costs, and maintenance charges pile up. The dream that was supposed to lift people upward instead locks them into a cycle of silent anxiety. This is not just about cars, it's about a generation living inside a consumerist trap. People were told that consumption equals progress, that owning more equals becoming more. But many discovered that debt-driven consumption doesn't create freedom, it creates dependency. The zombie cars sitting in alleyways are not just abandoned vehicles. They are monuments to over-leveraged hope. The tragedy is not that people desired a better life. The tragedy is that the system encouraged them to finance that dream on borrowed time. So the car becomes a monument to a life on pause. It's a painful irony. They worked themselves to exhaustion to buy a machine of movement. Yet they are now too tired and too broke to move at all. These cars are not abandoned out of laziness. They are abandoned because the cost of moving forward has become too high. So next time you see a glossy video of China's futuristic highways or glittering skylines, remember the zombie cars hidden in the corners. They are symbols of the quiet desperation of millions of ordinary people trying to survive in a world that never stops accelerating. Every layer of dust on those hoods represents a day of hard work that didn't quite get them where they hoped to go. Thanks for joining me on this reflection. If you've seen something similar in your own country, or if you've ever felt stuck like these cars, share your story in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.